Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter 64 just came out, and I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite chapters in the entire series, just for the level of hype around it, and with the biggest cliffhanger ending I've seen in a while. And it's probably my favorite chapter in this one arc, and there were a lot of really nice moments in the Leonis arc, but this chapter, it just had me really hyped, and I just can't wait to talk about it. But before we get into the actual video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help. And if you want to see more Four Knights of the Apocalypse content in the future, please be sure to do that, as I do want to keep giving you guys more top quality content, as well as covering the channel. And also, after this video comes out, sometime over the weekend, I should have another video for Four Knights of the Apocalypse before the next chapter comes out, as I have a lot of things to talk about. Now let's hit that intro and get right into the review. So chapter 64 of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, titled Those Seeking Revenge, starts off directly after last week with Gawain just bawling her eyes out, crying like a sniveling baby, and Percival and Tristan are just like looking at each other wondering what to do, while Pelgard's literally trying to lecture her, saying, "Thinking that you're on the top of the world proves just how much of a novice you are. Admitting your defeat is the first step towards growing," as Gawain just pelts him with a rock. And I like how she's literally just flailing around like a baby, like she's literally just got her favorite toy taken away. As she keeps saying, she's strong, she hasn't lost, she's invincible, as Pelgard is literally trying to get her to calm down, and that there's no shame in losing. And I like how Percival just teasing him, saying like, "Wow, way to make a girl cry." And I like how Pelgard's like, "How the hell is this my fault?" Anyway, Pelgard ends up deciding to take his leave, but Elizabeth questions Tristan on whether or not he wants to fight him next. But Tristan says, "I'll let you go for now. You're injured and I have no pride in battling an injured man." But he did save Percival, so he'll let him off the hook for now until they face each other next time. As this is a show of Tristan's very own chivalry, and I like the serious look on Tristan's face, as I do believe that the next time they meet, Tristan will take him seriously and will fight him with all his might. As we do remember in chapter 61, when the knights assembled, Tristan had his demon and goddess eyes ready for battle, so I can't wait to see him actually take actual charge and do this, which is something really cool. Anyway, Pelgard summons his shield and he takes his leave, saying that he'll make Percival's apprentice someday. But as he's flying off away, he realizes that the pain is dissipating, and turns out Percival snuck on one of his little golems to heal his wound, much to Pelgard's kind of surprise. But anyway, Gawain continues to scream and shout and bawl her eyes out over her loss, saying how it's not fair, she can never get taken down, if he didn't counter her she would have won, yada yada yada. And Percival's not even making it any better. He's saying losing once or twice isn't any big deal, as she just smacks Percival away, stating that her grandmother and her grandfather, Granny and Gramps, I don't know who they are. Could have something to do with perhaps Arthur and Merlin, because remember, she does kind of look like Merlin the more we look at her, so perhaps she's related to Merlin in some manner. That's something to look into. Though I do like how Tristan was kind of like signaling to Percival to just shut up, as he was going to handle it. And as he goes up to Gawain, he goes up and kind of cheers her up, saying that she's right, she was just off her game today, there's no way that she lost, and that she's the strongest, and stuff like that, and to get up and to head back to Leonis. As just like that, Gawain regains her bravado and just acts like all this never happened, and is beginning to head straight, wants to just go back to Leonis with everybody else. And I like how Percival is just trying to be like the honest one in this whole conversation and just being blunt as all hell, and Tristan's just telling him to shut up so he doesn't cause any more problems. And Percival ended up coming to the conclusion that we all just did. How did Tristan manage to get someone like her to follow him to Leonis? And I guess just praising her enough was just enough to get her to just follow him and take her to Leonis. So it makes a lot of sense. Tristan knows how to handle her, so that's honestly something that I do kind of appreciate. So I feel like this is going to play a role in any future battles and scenarios, as this will add an extra layer of conflict to the group things. Anyway, they still have like a little minor squabble, and it is revealed that all four of the knights are 16 years old in this one chapter. Gawain's going to be 16, Tristan and Lancelot are the same age anyway, so all four are 16, just as I know it was kind of like we'd think it anyway, due to how it's been 16 years since the end of the 7 Deadly Sins, but it's nice to have that little extra bit of confirmation. We jump back to inside Leonis with Lancelot and the rest of Percival's crew as he tells them that Pelgard is leaving, and then it seems that they managed to fight him off. But then Lancelot notices something, and apparently it's some sort of presence that honestly was hidden because of Pelgard's flashy magical attacks, and when he realizes it, he dashes away. He dashes off and tells the group to wait for Tristan and Percival to come back, and that he's going to the castle. So it's obvious Lancelot managed to read somebody's mind and sense someone's presence, and that was enough to get him worried. We then cut to these two hooded figures. I don't remember, but I believe these hooded figures were shown entering Leonis the same time as Pelgard and even Guinevere back in chapter 50-51, around that time when we were getting that prophecy of the four knights assembling. So it is basically confirmed that Pelgard was basically a red herring, and that these are the true assassins of chaos. I did not notice the hooded figures. I originally thought it was like Pelgard and maybe Guinevere at some point. I completely forgot about these hooded figures, in all honesty. Now these are coming back, and I'm like, oh crap, these people are actually here. How could I forget this? But anyway, these hooded figures are surrounded by a bunch of knights as they're trying to actually, confirm who they are and see what's going on with them. The two hooded figures begin to have a conversation, and that there are more holy knights. One hooded figure tells the other that there are far from the only holy knights in Leonis that are currently surrounding them, and that it won't be easy. The other hooded figure says, "What's a human like you talking about? Do you even know where what we want is located?" As it says that, yes, they know Leonis better than anyone in Camelot, and they have to get the job done now. So the dark hooded figure lunges away and heads towards the castle, as the hooded figure left behind ends up saying that the knights there will be dealing with them, referring to more than one person, as they bring out a head made out of stone. This looks familiar. This looks like Galland of the 10 Commandments. You get the confirmation of whose head this is. But this person ends up chanting some kind of incantation, asking Chaos to bring forth the souls from Purgatory, so that they can have the revenge on the ones that taken them. And it's confirmed that they were once called the 10 Commandments, as a light shines forth from the sky, hits the stone head, as it then shatters from the stone. We get to see the helmet, we get to see the armor, and it begins to regenerate as it's cackling. And I have to say, this depiction is honestly really cool. As this being is beginning to regenerate, he then creates a large fist and just smashes one of the knights into the ground, folding it in like a pancake, as we then get the reveal who these people are. And that's the thing, before we get the whole reveal, we cut to Hendrickson as he is reacting to this. He senses their presence, saying that it's been 16 years since he's felt this power, and it doesn't make any sense because he thought that the sins defeated all of them. As we then cut to the final 2 pages, as they are introduced, Chaos Melascula and Chaos Galland, servants of chaos, with the final page showing the two of them in their new forms, just stating that they have power given to them by King Arthur, and now they're going to kill the 7 deadly sins and the 4 knights of the apocalypse, ending the chapter. Okay, so this is a video in and of itself of me talking about how all this is possible and what we could expect. But Galland was dead. Melascula was actually reverted back into a snake after getting her commandments sucked out of her, and was in a tube being held by Merlin. So now it's very possible that Arthur gave Melascula chaos powers to not only give her back her strength, but make her even stronger. And with Galland's remains, she was able to call forth his soul and use the power of chaos to chaosify him into a hulking behemoth, similar to his critical overmode that he showed off against Escanor, but obviously he got bodied by Escanor. But the fact still remains that this is honestly a really epic reveal that I just cannot wait to see what happens next. And perhaps we'll even see the rest of the commandments be revived by this power. Now obviously I just said this before, but this is a video in and of itself on like how this is fully possible and what else we could expect, and this could honestly be the true horror of Arthur's abilities. Being aside from, well, chaosifying anything it touches, he essentially just use a spell to revive the dead. I mean, it is Melascula's own magic to like call forth souls and revive them into their bodies, essentially, like she did in the 7 Deadly Sins. But now she's able to infuse them with chaos and making them even more powerful. So they have formed a pact with Arthur to get their revenge on the Sins. I mean, it makes sense. Galland was utterly destroyed by Escanor. Melascula was defeated and humiliated by Meliodas and the rest of the Sins. So it makes a whole lot of sense. And if we really think about it, the only commandments that were like still left alive were Zeldris and Estarossa, who was actually Mael. But yeah, basically all the commandments were killed back in the 7 Deadly Sins, save for Zeldris and Mael, who was actually an archangel this entire time. We could go with Derriere, but it is confirmed that Mael used a spell to reincarnate her, and it has been 16 years, so perhaps she has been reincarnated with her memories. So we might end up seeing her again. This could also mean that we can see Moonspeed. It's just a whole can of worms and retreading old grounds. Now here's the thing. I like this idea of using the power of chaos to bring back old, incredibly deadly foes. Literally, the entirety of the 7 Deadly Sins was basically taking on the 10 Commandments, and then finally the Demon King at the very end. Well, save for chaos, which was kind of brought in at the end to tie in to help build up into this series. But still, the 10 Commandments were the main villains of the entirety of the 7 Deadly Sins, and having to see them now being revived and given powers from chaos by Arthur and working with Arthur, it's just something that I honestly can't wait to see what's going on. Will they have all their same abilities just with chaosified or just amplified by chaos, or will they have new abilities? And I'm gonna say this. I don't think the knights are going to take them out. They're not. But it's also possible that Arthur is giving them some abilities similar to their commandments that just makes them even more powerful, and having them to be more careful when fighting when these do commandments. But yeah, I don't know what else to talk about for this video, as I feel like it's gonna be like double the length if I go like really in depth into it. But all I can say, I love this reveal. This is honestly my favorite chapter due to this hype reveal, the way Galland was resurrected in like a very maniacal and sinister way, and to just literally like flatten one of the knights like a pancake with one hand. That is the type of overwhelming power that I remember when I first got introduced to the 10 Commandments and the 7 Deadly Sins, and I can't wait to see what they do next. But with all that said and done, what did you guys think of this chapter? Leave your thoughts and opinions down below, and what do you think is going to happen with the story of the 10 Commandments being brought back into the story? What do you think about it? Who else do you think is going to be revived? And how do you think the knights are going to fare against them? And will Meliodas just be the only one taking on these two opponents? And who is that hooded figure? As it was confirmed that they are human. I was originally, I had to read this chapter twice, as I originally thought that with the chaos by Melascula, perhaps this other person was another revived commandment, but it's confirmed to be human. Meaning that it could be the traitor that was stated in the prophecy. But yeah, leave your thoughts and opinions down below, theories of what's going to happen next. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. As like I mentioned, I do have a video idea in mind now that I want to get out before the next chapter, or perhaps afterwards, depending on the information we get. And if you want to continue to support the channel and do it more directly, check out my Patreon and my Ko-fi accounts to help support the channel more directly, as I have a lot of videos in mind that I want to do in the future, and any and all help would be very much appreciated. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.